In a single in a single weak vendor, a library or outsourced process can turn a strong enterprise into a headline, and it rarely breaks where leaders are looking. It breaks when dependencies hide. Why it matters now? 2026 resilience is being measured by boards, regulators, insurers, and customers. The question is no longer as we are we secure. It can be keeping operating when suppliers fail, software is compromised, and partners become a breach. Dr. Shekhar Pawar sits in the intersection of technology. Dr. Shekhar Pawar sits at the intersection of technology, delivery, cyber assurance, strategy governance, and growth outcomes. He brings in a builder's view of controls plus CEO view of the trade offs and proofs. Technology enables outcomes, security protects its growth, growth proves ROI, strategy governs decisions. Before we dive into the topic, let's have a small intro about Power of Knowing. Let's welcome Dr. Shekhar Pawar to Power of Knowing Forum and deep dive into the topic. Sir, good afternoon. How are you today, sir? Welcome to our podcast.
I'm good. Thank you, Prem sir, for inviting me again. I guess I have been part of this program since long, and it is always very informative to listen many of the podcasts happening through this forum. I'm learning, unlearning, and relearning many things from this forum. So it is always good to share experience with the various people, stakeholders, and colleagues online. So, thank you very much for the invitation.
Welcome, sir. You've been there on our podcast for the seventh time. I think this is in 2.5 years. I have to be here at the 7 times for us to be having you on the stage. So, thank you for that continuous support and guidance that you have been giving throughout the podcast series, sir. Sir, the first question that I want to ask, uh, if you have to prove supply chain resilience to board in 30 days, what evidence would you put on one slider, sir?
So, look, the supply chain is, if you talk about industries, it is mostly 90% of the businesses worldwide are small and medium enterprises. We call it as a micro, small, and medium enterprise. And also, we call those a small and medium business depending on region to region. And let me share one experience recently. Before a couple of years, I was attending one of the conference where there were Japanese ambassador representative of their industry was there part of the stage, and Indian representative actually started the event saying like uh, MSMEs, which are micro, small, and medium enterprises of India, are heart of our industry, the national growth, industrial growth ecosystem. So when the Japanese ambassador started talking, he actually said, like you were saying, that small and medium enterprises is heart of your country's industrial revolution. But in Japan, the things are different. In Japan, we call uh, small and medium enterprises an entire body of the ecosystem. He explained beautifully with an example. He said, like, if suppose Toyota kind of company is manufacturing any car, uh, the small and medium enterprises ecosystem is supporting entire supply chain of each part or each component of the car. Someone is actually manufacturing tires, someone is manufacturing engine part, someone is manufacturing body, someone is painting. So it is completely ecosystem works together, and then assembly is also done by someone else. So it is entire body of ecosystem of industries is generated by the supply chain management in Japan. And similarly, it is happening everywhere nowadays. And if you talk about cyber resilience, especially, so there are many different cyber attacks and methodologies, new innovative technologies oriented cyber attacks happening. And recently, we have published as a secure law, we have published annual report of last year. We generally study 10 to 15 cyber attacks daily basis happening on the industry, and we have published around 3,500 some summarized cyber attacks analytics. We found like last year there were many cyber attacks which were APT, means those are state-sponsored cyber attack. The lot of cyber attacks are now happening because of geopolitical instability, and again there is a lot of continuous risk visibility in the market. Again, there is an ecosystem which is formed by small and medium enterprises, many startups, many different technology vendors. So that ecosystem is also needs to be considered as a part of cyberspace, because suppose one of the weakest link will be a small business who is actually contributing in particular big organization as a contractor, and if that business is getting hacked, so it will be dangerous for that big organization, and even it is dangerous for the economy of the entire country. So it is very important to uh, create a supply chain cyber resilience by shared responsibility across sectors, across various companies, across boundaries also, because we need lot of collaboration to overcome cyber attacks happening on the industry, and we should actually work towards cyber resilience as a whole. It is a holistic approach which is needed. I guess I tried to answer your question.
Yes, sir. I got the references point that I wanted to understand. Now, when you say, when leaders say supply chain cyber resilience, what do you want them to mean in 2026?
So, supply chain is generally meant by starting from the software till the cloud infrastructure, firewall, endpoints, everything. So, if you are taking, say, software, which are open source software, or some vendors' product like ERP solution or say CRM solution, so are you asking them question like, is it cyber secured? Is it compliant to the GDPR or DPDP Act of India, or say Privacy Act of California? So is it compliant with all those compliances? If there is a payment gateway integrated, is it PCI DSS compliant? So you need to ask much more questions regarding that. So supply chain is not only one chunk of ecosystem; it is software, endpoints which we are purchasing. Are we protecting those endpoints against different cyber attacks happening on the ecosystem or the organization? Are we changing default password? Till are we importing few just to looking at price, are we importing certain backdoors in our organization where probably some other country's intention is not good towards our country or your organization, and you are just purchasing certain electronic devices or the network devices from those countries, and those for example, if there is a CCTV camera, if you are going for cheaper CCTV cameras, generally those are cloud-based cameras, and but you are not aware like your data is continuously getting going to the cloud, which is probably not in our country's premise, our country's boundary, not within our country's boundary. It is going outside of the India. And are they watching us continuously? Are they listening? Because many times nowadays CCTV cameras are also having microphone. So are they listening our conversation? Are they tracking every activity of our organization? And there are many such cameras which are nowadays even available at some portal, Supuri kind of portal, where you can see there are many hacked cameras where database is available. You can just pay little amount and you can watch any hack camera, and you can continuously keep eye on what people are doing, what they are talking, what they are, how they are behaving. So these kind of things are actually very dangerous for the ecosystem which is getting formed by supply chain. So supply chain is not only you are considering the technology, you should also consider people, you should also consider processes, and combiningly you should form a good supply chain. I guess I
Yes,
tried
yes,
to
yes.
answer your
So you
question.
are saying you will have to look at the basis of saying that what happens as a vendor can update compromised MSPs, or a SaaS admin can look at your account and tie that kind of downloadable loss, or look at data which you are capturing using these cameras, is what we are saying. Now, what are some non-negotiable outcomes: availability, integrity, recovery, and how do you define them using RTO, RPO plus MTTD and MTTR, sir?
So look, any cybersecurity is not complete without confidentiality, integrity, and availability, and along with that, privacy. Nowadays, privacy is also important. So for availability, we should not have any downtime or any system. It is not possible because nowadays the reasons might be power failure, reasons might be human errors during operations, reasons might be some maintenance downtime. So it is not possible to achieve 100% downtime. Most of the times we say 99.99% of SLAs are acceptable in many organizations like which are providing internet kind of or internet lease line kind of stuff. So it is very important to measure RTO, which is recovery time objective, which is like maximum acceptable time required for restore operation after disruption. Suppose there is a failure in particular system, how soon you can restore, soon you can recover from that. So that should be justified. Just before a couple of days, there was an outage of YouTube, right? And it took 2 hours because YouTube is we are mostly using it as a free service in public domain. But many companies are actually using YouTube as a powerful tool for their marketing promotion, for their different activities. Like today's session might be on YouTube live. So it is very important to understand what is RTO, how soon it can be restored. Is it 2 hours? Is it very lengthy time, which company was not able to restore that service again? So these are the questions we need to ask ourselves. Second thing is MTTR, which is mean time to repair and restore. So it is average time to take the fixing of the issue and how to recover it. So it is also important to understand. And for the identity, suppose, sorry, integrity, if you are talking about the integrity, if integrity is broken about particular asset or the connection of the internet or any system. So it means you are actually not having complete control over particular operation or over particular functionality, and it might be disrupted or it might get modified by the hackers. So it is very important to understand recovery point objective. What are maximum acceptable data loss which I can afford? Suppose there is a integrity breach, someone else is accessing my remote server at cloud, someone is accessing my cameras, someone is accessing my important database. So it is very important to understand RPO of the while we are planning for any resilience, cyber resilience. Again, the recovery time is very important, and organizations should actually brainstorm at the top management that what are the impacts and different cyber threats which are possible, and how to recover faster, how to prevent, how to recover if there is an incident, and how quickly we can resolve and fix that incident to make sure like it will not reoccur again. So these terms are very important, uh, and I guess that is how every top management should invest their time and their planning in this kind of uh, things. And business continuity plan should also contain this information.
Very, very important pointers there. So considerations of aspects that are going to affect business is one thing that I am trying to understand. Now, which framework baseline do you start with for clarity, whether it is NIST CFS, CSF 2.0, or ISO 27000 2022, or a board risk taxonomy? Which one do you think is important?
For small and medium enterprises, I already invented BDS LCA framework, business domain specifically cybersecurity controls implementation. So there also it is available as a web platform where companies can register themselves. They can go through the different cybersecurity recommended controls based on their business domain and the priority which we understand for their business. So that there we have some kind of gap analysis, all the consulting help which is required, starting from process, guideline documentation. So that is also a very good baseline framework for any company which is startup or which is having minimum budget, less time, and they want some good cybersecurity framework available for their organization, along with documentation, and along with we are also doing audit and certification in that. As you said, like NIST, which is very popular United States framework, and it is very flexible, very comprehensive, and it is also being used for supply chain risk management. And recently, before 3 4 years, United States also started CMMC 1.0, and just before few months they started CMMC 2.0, which is again another framework which is suitable for uh, small and medium enterprises which are going to work with federal government of United States. And these frameworks are ideal for protecting critical information or critical infrastructure during the supply chain. And those are very much voluntary. But if you want to work, NIST CSF 2.0, which is 2024 update, is very much voluntary. But if you want to work with federal government of United States, then CMMC 2.0 is mandatory now. Means you should comply with all the requirement to protect federal government information. Along with that, ISO 27001, which is I'm also lead auditor of that, and it is a very good information security management system framework or standard. So it is protecting the information or data. It is more focused towards that, and it is also very good to start with for any organization. And there are many such frameworks and standards available, but NIST and ISO are worldwide accepted because since a long time they exist in the market and they become matured in the market. And but because you asked me questions, so I should talk about BDSLCCI also. So BDSLCCI is not only protecting information, it is also protecting critical assets like mission critical assets of the organization. And we have divided BDSLCI into three levels: level one, level two, level three. So our in level one, we expect like organizations should only implement 15 to 20 controls. In level two, they should implement 30 to 40 30 to 40 control, 20 to 30 controls. And in level 3, they should implement 30 to 40, 45 controls. So that is how we are giving incremental order of controls which they can implement. So these are very good for starting points towards the cyber resilience in the organizations.
Very important, because we were talking about LCCI, which is a framework built by CyberClaw or SecureClaw as an organization, where they have industry specific controls for uh, doing compliance, right? So, please speak to Mr. Dr. Shekhar Pawar on it. I am listing his LinkedIn profile here. All talk to him. You can find out he has. Sir, you have free this one also to be checked, right? So can you give some idea on
Yeah,
this?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. So we will help them throughout the journey. Again, we also started like employee cybersecurity awareness trainings along with certification in that particular portal. So companies can directly go to the training also for their employees if they are not interested in adopting BDSLC at start. And again, they can go with BDSLC framework. It is very reasonable, and we are already talking to many agencies of government to take it at national level.
Thank you for that, sir. Sir, with we are talking about supply chain, right? Where do you see supply chain fail first? Whether it is softwares, services, or people operating the handoffs. Where do you think that is?
Nowadays, when I'm actually interviewing many software developers and many IT professionals, and I when I talk to youth, they are saying nowadays software programming is very easy. You just Google out, you just ask AI, it writes down the code, it gives references to the tools or existing plugins which you just download and use it in your code. Okay, so software has become lot of open to many cyber threats, because nowadays there are people are not programmers are also not writing their own code. They are very much dependent on third party plugins. I remember when I started my career in 2000 or somewhere, we used to actually write down the code for each every aspect of the coding, like starting from the grid pagination, what will happen to if someone clicks on page number 2 and next page and last page. So we were directly programming it by our own idea, our own thoughts. Nowadays, there are just plugs in. You just download and you check the review and just copy paste those, and it works. But there are some problems with that. Many of these plugins are not compliant to the security requirement, like OAPs, uh, which is Open Web Security Protocol or procedures which we follow. So these kind of things are very much vulnerable. So softwares are becoming primary weak point nowadays because of third-party components, open source libraries, CI/CD like continuous integration, continuous deployment pipelines, as well as different SaaS integration like the payment gateways or different existing ecosystem you want to utilize. You want to verify certain credentials of the customer, so you are giving asking access to particular site. So those things are heavily being used, and those are primary weak point. Secondly, as you said, there are many service providers like cloud integration is required. Nowadays, managed services are very much popular. Then logistics platforms are there. Such things, suppose there is single point of failure. Suppose you are using particular cloud infrastructure, or you are using particular managed service for your software integration or your organization's business flow. If there is single point of failure, then your entire business fails. So this is very important to understand. And as I told you, I started with the software developer. So we should not blame any particular uh, skill set people, but there are people who are always having uh, who are always appear as a weakest link for the cyber criminals, and these people are always attracted towards how I can get something very free of cost, how I will get something very easily. So they are approaching everything like that, and because of that, they are actually getting tricked by hackers or cyber criminals. So there are many times we are also spreading awareness, like there is particular WordPress plugin which is vulnerable and it is already deployed in 20,000 websites. So those websites payment gateway can be hacked. So such kind of things are always in news, and we always try to promote that, so as people will understand what they need to do and what they don't need to do. Along with that, vendor onboarding or even employee onboarding or employee offboarding, there should be some operational or processes which should be in place. Again, the contract enforcement, people are many companies where I visited, the manufacturing chemical companies, they don't even understand definition of non-disclosure agreement. Their employees are getting appointment letters and they are joining their companies, they are leaving their companies, they are stealing their intellectual property or their patented product information and they are implementing it in another competitor company. So such kind of contract enforcement are very much important. So these are the things like people, process, and technology, or we can say software, services, and people should always be protected to make sure like you will not face any problems in your business or even in compliances.
Thank you for that, sir. Sir, one point is now everywhere we are talking about services, softwares, people, and other things. Now, what's your common failure pattern? Weak third party access, poor change control, or hidden open source risk or SBOM gaps. What do you think is the common failure patterns?
So according to latest statistics, I would say weak third-party access is most of the common failure, which appeared in the news. Like 30% of data breaches happened because of this weak third-party access, because the third party or the vendor or contractor got access to particular API, particular service of the organization, and they were not having proper cybersecurity in their place. It might be the people, process, or technology, but because of that, the bigger organizations or ecosystem faced many issues. So this is the biggest challenge. Second is like the pure change control. Nowadays, if you look every second Tuesday, Microsoft is pushing new patches for the Windows, and it is happening with every supplier of the software, starting from the printers, CCTV cameras, or say iPhone or anything. So there are always periodic updates or periodic patches which you need to do for your devices. But many times companies are not even updating their Windows. They are not even updating their firewalls. So those are vulnerable, and those vulnerabilities or weaknesses are already pushed online, and there are POCs available, like proof of concept, how to hack particular vulnerability. So it is very easy for hacker to identify such things in your organization and to damage your reputation, to hack your systems, to steal your data, or even to blackmail you by ransomware attack. As you rightly said, like there are hidden open source risk also, and I already highlighted in earlier question. So there is SBOM, which is known as software bill of material. So it is new concept which started formally in 2018 by the US National Telecommunication and Information Administration, NTIA. They played a very crucial role in SBOM. So what is this SBOM? And SBOM is like it is a detailed inventory of all the software components and dependencies which someone should manage as an organization. And what it will, the key factors which are considered in SBOM are you need to know the origin of the software plugin or component, you need to know version of it, you need to know the licensing of it, whether it is free, whether it is partially payment is required, or it is subscription based. So you need to, or you are using pirated, so you don't know. So you need to know all those things. And again, SBOM helps uh, critically, or it is helping identifying, helping in identifying zero-day vulnerabilities. Like nowadays, there are many zero-day attacks happening on various organizations. So zero-day vulnerabilities are easy to identify if you are following SBOM, as well as the security patches which are required on time. Suppose there is a vulnerability which got published for particular plugin, then they are releasing new version. So you need to do changes in your software to make those changes happen. So that is very important outcome of SBOM. And in year 2021, even US government pushed it with new order to it make it and make this SBOM as a mandate requirement for any software which is being used by US federal software procurement team. Means they need to actually follow this thing while procuring any software. So SBOM is now very critical for United States, and I guess many countries should learn from it, and many countries should have such kind of standards available.
Thing is, what you're saying is SBOM is, when we say SBOM, we want to just elaborate to everybody. It is called as software bill of material. So that's SBOM. We should not think it in a literal meaning of a bomb and stuff like that. So we want to be clarifying that SBOM is more to look at the inventory that is there in the software, inventory that we have to keep, where you need to see which tool is working where and how it is working and what are the implications if that tool is being attacked. So that's the inventory that we are trying to talk and reference it here. Now coming to our next point is, what is your control set for external access based on NIST SP 800 bar 207 identity, device posture, least privileges, and continuous verification?
So yeah. So NIST, which we already talked about, NIST is National Institute of Standard and Technology, and SP stands for Special Publication. Okay. So it is very good initiative since long United States is doing, and many countries are also using NIST for their ecosystem. So NIST, this particular SP 800 207 is talking about zero trust framework or zero trust concept, how it can be used to identify devices posture validation, how it can be used for least privilege enforcement, and how it can be used for continuous verification. So this is mostly used for building a zero trust environment within the organization, which is adopting this framework. Generally, NIST is having two kind of series. One is SP 800 series, which is focusing on uh, computer security and cyber security guidelines, and there is SP 1800 series, which is document results of applied cybersecurity demonstration projects by NCCOE, like National Cybersecurity Center of Excellence. And these two things are always updated on their website. If anyone want more information, they can go through the website. And NIST is actually helping in identity, device posture, and least privilege. NIST 207. So it is helping organizations to build strong identity verification for the user. It might be a person working from home actor for a particular time, or it might be stakeholder like the partner working with that organization. It also helps in enforcing multi-factor authentication, and it also helps in adaptive uh, authorization. So it is very important. Device posture, so in which they actually validate, this framework helps you to validate the health of the devices. There are many devices which are generally outdated. Like I have visited one of the ship, the maritime kind of ship, uh, where there was a laboratory, and I saw they were using Windows XP. We are now in 2000. I guess I visited it during the pandemic time. So before 2 3 years they were using Windows XP, which is totally outdated. No patches, no security updates over there, right? So device posture is also important within your organization. Is it up to mark? Is it having hardware suitable for today's ecosystem? So because if your device is also failed to integrate with other systems, it is causing integrity problem, right? So you are, because of one device, the other devices functionality is getting altered. Then there should be least privilege, which is again one of the focus of 800-207 SP of NIST, where you should be having the RASI kind of matrix, like the who should have which kind of access, which kind of role, and all those roles and permissions should be mapped in one place. It should be means for a particular system who should have which access, and need to base access should be granted particular task. It should not be like someone is having lifetime access. The access should change if the person is leaving the team, if person is leaving the organization, or person's role is changing. I have seen most of the companies, their CEOs and directors are having full access for their entire ecosystem, and they are watching the movies. They are they are actually bypassing their firewall of the organization because they are owner of the company or they are director of the company. They are allowed to do anything in the organization through, using being in network of the organization. So such kind of things are actually causing lot many malwares to enter in your organization because those are weakest links within your organization because you have given the full access to particular person and he is actually using personal device which is not even safeguarding any cyber attacks, right? So these are the things which I guess everyone should take care. And NIST SP 800-207 is talking about the zero trust architecture.
Sir, very important point because I was part of an organization where we used to audit the access part, sir. Because every time your very important point where you said people are having full access, they move to the next role, or they are the owners of the organization, they have full access to everything. So that access review has to be happening on a regular basis, is what I understand, and that's a bigger challenge where you need to look at access review for large organizations. That itself is a big activity compared to what the users roles are mentioned. Do they still have the same role? And this has to be audited every 3 months, is what I feel, because people keep changing in the organizations, people keep elevating themselves, and people leave also a few of the organizations. So when you leave that, you'll have to look at.
No, it should be. Yeah, you are right. Like it should be audited every quarterly. But I always suggest like when there are changes in a team, if someone is joining your team, if someone is leaving your team, or someone is getting promoted or demoted, there should be the checkpoint where one of the
Okay.
checkpoint is access review. So during
Hmm.
that process itself, during the HR process itself, you are actually doing the access review. So that should be part of that offboarding, onboarding process itself. So that then you should not, because three months is also a big period. Recently, just before a couple of weeks, someone called me where their CTO, they fired someone who was CTO of that organization, and he is probably doing some malicious activity on their cloud data because he was having access, and they haven't removed his access because he's a senior person. So they asked me how to identify who is accessing this. We doubt this person was having bad intention towards organization. He left after quarrel, so he might be accessing it. So these things should be part of the process when you are offboarding or onboarding someone.
Great pointers there, sir. Again, now that's very important to look at having a secure posture of the environments that you are having. Sir, what or which two metrics do you watch weekly? Privileged access exposure and third party risk, session risk, or something better? So which are the two metrics that you look at every week?
Privilege access exposure is more important. Most of the organizations where we work or we knew, they are already having cybersecurity controls implemented. So privilege access exposure is very important to see, along with the third-party session risk, means third-party access. So generally, admin, vendor, or privileged users or contractor related rules should be defined very clearly within the organization. And there should be multi factor authentication while if they are accessing sensitive information or sensitive systems. And those should be continuously monitored. And again, when someone is accessing your system, there should be log maintained. Many times I saw like people are not even maintaining log. The software should have logging table where someone logs in, that get logged, and they will come to know like Shaker was admin of particular website or web application or desktop application, and he logged in at 7 p.m. On Tuesday, and he logged out 7:30 p.m. on Tuesday. So all those things should be required. They should be monitored in database because these things are very important to understand who is accessing what and what is happening to your. If something went wrong in your organization, you are able to identify who did what in the organization. Again, there are like third party session risk, which are most important to identify, and there should be continuous identification of the behavior patterns also of the people, and who is having, like I explained you, one CTO was having quarrel in the organization and he left suddenly, and he probably companies thinking like he was having very admin kind of access, and he, without removing his access, he went from the organization. So he might be doing some malicious activities or data stealing on the or the organization server. So that behavior pattern should be also considered, and it is very difficult to identify such pattern because it is totally emotional intelligence area or cognitive of the person you need to identify. But there are few audits where we also check how many people are accessing particular system, what kind of data they are trying to access, which kind of pages they want to access. So all those things should be logged and those should be clearly identified, along with the geolocation. Nowadays, people are working remotely, and the geolocation are very important data, because someone might be sitting in your competitor office and might be accessing certain data of yours company. So it is very important to identify where that person is. So there are multiple things which you need to actually monitor, and it is possible to monitor nowadays. And again, suppose there is a third-party data breach. So we need to check whether that data was of our organization, right? If that third party is associated with us, are they collecting that data silently and keeping it at their end? Because many times, third-party people, they are actually having access to the search system of the organization. They are copy pasting the databases because they knew they can probably use that data for next assignment for their competitor. So such things should be continuously monitored.
I think what you're talking is it should be more of privileged access exposure is what you're saying, and that has to be checked is what you're saying. The vendor needs to be looking at what kind of production access he is having. The first is that is what I am say getting, and just also look at some just-in-time access that can be given when this kind of things are required. Approval sessions, some of the pointers. So I think we are going in a direction where you can talk about zero trust, where
And
you can look.
again, when we work with the customers, many customers trust us because we are
Yeah.
secure cloud, and since more than 10 years we are working. So many customers, they are very they are saying, no, we don't need any NDA with you. We trust you.
Okay.
I say, means I as a vendor, I tell them, no, I want to sign NDA. If someone from us or me will do something wrong with your data, you should sue us, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we upfront tell them. Even few customers give us access for particular assignment, and they keep that access because we are generally working yearly contract. So
Hmm.
suppose I am doing audits say in March and February and March this year. So I will probably do similar kind of audit, incremental audit next year in during same months. So they are saying we will not remove your access. Yeah, we trust you. But I upfront go and tell them like, please remove my access. Please remove my teammates' access, because it is okay. We have good relation, we have good trust bonding, but I want to follow the process. It is very important that you should not have unlimited access for any assignment. Means it is your responsibility also to tell customer or remind customer like, please remove my access because I am not no more associated with your organization, right?
True, sir. Very true. Sir, coming to the part of testing, right? Or how do we look at penetration? People look at how is your infrastructure being. So VAPT and SAST are two things that are common, right? And why do organizers still miss supply chain risk in real operations? Any pointers around it, sir?
So vulnerability assessment, penetration testing, and static application security testing, VAPT and SAST. These are again we also provide for many organizations, and SAST is actually source code security review. Most of the part of it is covered in under it. So these are enough for the organization organization's products inside for their security. But if you ask me why people are actually ignoring towards supply chain risk, so the first reason is, like I told you, we have uh, lot many vendors or lot many organizations are having trust bonding. Like I already explained you, they believe like if someone is drinking tea with them or coffee with them, and someone is doing good morning and happy Diwali, so they don't need any risk assessment, or they can give access to that person because they trust him. It is not the case. You need to always bound to the process. You need to always define scope and the limitations of the assignment and give them access. Even though that person is your brother or spouse, it is very important to understand the risk is there if you are giving unnecessary access to someone. So supply chains are always having blind spots. Like there are open source components which organizations are using. Generally, small and medium enterprises, if they are having crunch of money, they don't have financial budget, or they don't have skilled teammates, they always go through the pre components available in market or pre softwares available in market, and those appears as a backdoor, or those appears as a Trojan horse for their organization, and indirectly the hacker is using their access to a bigger organization to do some further crimes on big organization. So they are just like helping that cyber criminal. Okay. Then there are always I have seen there are operational complexity within many organizations where they are not having proper synchronization between people, process, and technology. I am always saying people, process, and technology, because these areas, if you are safeguarding and if you are having synchronization among all those things, if there are processes, employees are not aware. If employees are very strong, they don't have technology. If technology is good, people are not able to drive that. So there are multiple complex combination and permutations of the problems during if there is no synchronization during these three aspects of the organization: people, process, and technology. Again, there are many times I have seen people are considering, like, if you have particular certificate, uh, like say ISO or any certificate, it means that organization is fully compliant. So you can give them any access because they are compliant. But it is not the case. It is just at that time when the ISO probably have conducted audit, there were certain controls, there were certain people. But now there are new people in that organization. Now there are new technologies. Every day there are different risks coming to any supply chain organization, right? So it is always good to understand the latest posture of that organization who is working with you as a supply chain, and you need to again cross check how comfortable you are working with them as a cybersecurity compliance. So it should not be on assumption you are trusting anyone. Okay, so it is very important to identify uh, like the gaps, hidden gaps, and uh, hidden what we say vulnerabilities or weaknesses within their system while you are working with any supply chain. And for that, I guess BDSLCCI is going to play very much because BDSLCCI is very reasonable, very cost effective, very less time consuming, and very easy to implement cybersecurity framework. If suppose you are an organization and you are having certain supply chain made up by small MSMEs or startups who are having 2 employees or 20 employees or 100 employees, and if they are not having any standard available, so you can always go for BDSL framework. We also give 30 to 40 pages of control report showing analytic and coverage and effectiveness of the controls at the end of BDSL audit. So it will give you trust bonding among while working with that such organization.
So thank you for that, sir. Sir, I want to understand one thing is what is the difference between finding vulnerabilities and reducing breach possibility over time? Trend-based redemption or exploitability or focus, sir? What is that you think, sir?
So this is very right question, because many times what happens when we are suppose doing VAPT or SAST kind of cybersecurity assignments, once we report certain vulnerabilities like the weakness in their system processes or technology gaps or configuration gaps, many organizations are not going till pretest cycle. They feel like we got a report, we come to know like there are 10 high risk issue, 20 medium risk issue, and 50 low risk issue, and they will say we will fix it, and then after even couple of years no one gets back. So it is very important, once you identified vulnerabilities, the assignment is not over. It is VAPT or SAST or any cybersecurity audit is not over. Fix it, you retest it, and you make sure like that issue got fixed completely. So it is very important to understand that reducing breach probability is a continuous process. It is not only just doing an audit and you come to know like you are vulnerable to particular thing and you just ignore that audit report. So it is not. It should not be happening, right? So it is a continuous process where you should yearly, at least once, you should do SAST and VAPT. That is what we recommend. And again, our report are having like CV ratings of each issue identified. We also give them how which issue is high, which issue is low, which issue is having which kind of recommended solution. According to us, you can fix this using this solution, or you can implement your own solution. And again, we are also giving them reference link, like how serious this issue is and what is the impact it is going to have in your business or your system. So our reports are like that, and then it is organizational decision. They need to fix at least high and medium issues, medium risk issues. Low issues we can say okay, they can plan later, but high issues they need to prioritize and they need to fix those, because otherwise they are going to be in trouble. Because nowadays cyber attacks are continuously changing their dynamics. Like every day there are new methodologies, new technology patches, new plugins which are vulnerable. Many things are happening in the market, and many organizations are facing compliances issue like GDPR and DPDP Act. Many compliances are in place, so you need to protect the privacy of the people, whether it is your employee or your customer or your supplier. So you need to protect them. So there are a lot of things which organizations should consider while doing business.
What you are saying is ownership ambiguity is there. There is a lot of patching that we are supposed to do. That's another challenge that we are seeing. Making redundant unavoidable without slowing the delivery is what we are talking about. Sir, I have one last question that if I have to look at. Uh, if you were hired as a virtual CISO for a mid-market firm, what would be the first 90 days look like to lift supply chain resilience?
Uh, yeah, we provide virtual CISO service. I guess we talked in last conversation we had. Uh, Generally, we will always divide the plan into different 30 days package. Okay, uh, and we also it also dependent on like whether there was earlier CISO or cybersecurity person who is handling their organization cybersecurity posture. So then probably our work will be very less burden, right? But if suppose there is a very completely like no cybersecurity control, no documentation, no audits has been performed, then we should start with the baseline. So we generally start with like 15 to 30 days we take as a to create a baseline where we try to identify what are different assets they have, what are different vendors they have, what are different suppliers they have, what are different dependencies this organization is having, and we build all those infrastructure, sorry, the documentation to identify all those things. Then we also try to enforce bare minimum cybersecurity, the multi-factor authentication. If someone is working from home, access to that. So we try to deploy certain small controls at the initial 30 days. Then we actually start doing governance and monitoring, where we are actually helping organizations to be aligned with the certain cybersecurity framework, like say BDSLCCI or ISO 27001, or say if the United States customers, they are more aligned with SOC 2 or NIST kind of framework. So those things they need to start adopt under our supervision. And we also help them to identify the risk within the vendor ecosystem which they are building. And so there should be some kind of SLAs defined properly, so which needs to be taken care. We need to review all those stuff, and then after 60 days probably we are working towards regular cybersecurity audit of the all the assets within the organization. We try to do risk treatment of identified issues, like how to avoid, mitigate, or transfer or accept particular risk which is identified during last 2 months. And we help management to understand where they are going to going to stand after 3 months. Okay, so we give them some kind of visibility. So this is how we actually try to focus on implementation of cybersecurity posture within first 90 days. So those are just like started kickoff of the particular cybersecurity assignment, and then we start slowly building towards the good cybersecurity posture, because organizations are also need some time. Top management also needs some time. Employees also need some time to digest. Like someone is there to guide them throughout the journey of the cybersecurity posture. And after 90 days, probably slowly organizations, critical assets, medium critical asset, and low critical asset we identify, and we try to work towards how to cyber secure those.
So thank you for those pointers, sir. I have lot of pointers that I've got to based on this. So what you are saying is you give a phased plan for 0 to 30 days, then baseline for 31 to 60 days, and the controls enforcement and so on. So you put them into a tabletop environment where you talk about how the supplier drills are happening, and this is what you're saying. I think what you're saying is a 90-day resilience plan is a business plan with security recipes, what I think is what you're saying. And with this we are on top of the hour, and I have noted some of the takeaways that I want to put across when what we've discussed over the last 55 minutes in the session, sir. Supply chain resilience is outcome game and defines RTO, RPO, MTTD, and MTTR. Then they build controls that move those numbers. So that's what we are saying. The second point is the SBOM only matters when it drives decision gathering, release, enforcing SSDF and SLSAs, and managing exceptions with discipline. Then we talked about zero trust for third parties, which is a production strategy, just in time access. Least privileges is what we spoke about, and evidence by default is what we are looking at. Board needs one page risk model tied to suppliers, KRIs, residual risk sign offs, and predictable cadence. So that's what they look at. How is the cadence happening? What is the challenge that they are facing? And these are the growth improves when trust is provable, fewer security objections, faster onboarding, stronger enterprise deal velocity. So these are the pointers that I have taken as a pointers for our takeaways. Any final pointers before we conclude the session, sir?
I would say I have invented BDS as a framework, which is very good for all your small and medium enterprises or startup ecosystem, which is working with your organization. So you can check the demos of this framework. You can always contact us to know about how BDSSA can help you or your supply chain to be cyber secure. And we also provide virtual CISO, source code security review, which is SAST, and also VAPT, vulnerability assessment penetration testing. So you can always approach us for any guidance, any assistance needed from us. So I guess it is joint responsibility of all organizations and even countries, government, and people working within the organization to make the cyber ecosystem as a cyber resilience. It is not one person's or one organization's job. It is combined collaborative work. And I'm trying to build cyber secured uh, ecosystem for MSMEs. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So what we are saying is cybersecurity does not belong to one person, it's an organization responsibility, as what you rightly said. Going forward with DPDP and other tools coming up where data is becoming primary, you and me are also responsible for holding the data that we put on the digital platforms. Also, it is your responsibility and our responsibility to keep our data secure. With DPDP coming in, it is digital privacy, so it is more to look at how you manage your data. So that's where we are standing at this point, and with this we would like to conclude our episode for today. And this is a episode which we did yesterday because there was a technical challenge. We are restreaming it and we're doing it freshly today. And thanks for the availability today, sir. And with short notice, we are able to bring back this session to life and showcase it to our audience. Thank you for being here, and thank you for the support, sir. Always, as always. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Prem sir. Thank you all. Bye.